So I'd love for you guys to just take your feet and uncross them and put them on the ground in front of you. And if you don't have sparkly shoes like me, it's okay, but just, feel your feet. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. So closing the eyes, a couple nice, long, deep, slow breaths. And just as you're sitting here reflecting on the 4 days that we've had together, letting some of the moments of inspiration, of depth, of connection play through your mind like a movie. What are those moments, those people, those eyes, those activities that we did that really show up for you as you settle and reflect on a heartfelt experience that was created and co-created by so many amazing people here? I will say it's powerful hearing from Stephen about soul-centered leadership, and as myself kind of stepping into that role as a leader in my community, recognizing myself as that, and really just observing what can be done when we start to get out of our own way, when we truly do lead from love. In the past, I had a feeling that if I stood up or I shared, that I was being egotistical, or I was being too much. And I've had that reflected to me before as well. You're too much. And I embrace that. I am too much. And I like that. And I'm going to continue to be too much. So just reflecting in the mind, it's so important to just pause and stop. I know for myself, I've been moving a lot. I've been hosting dinners every night and all day long, just wanting to support the speakers that I brought in, the amazing teachers that I had asked to come here. And I'm just amazed that they said yes, really. I'm so grateful. These are the people in my life who have influenced me the most, from Sean Korn and Suzanne Sterling and Hala and Carrie, Ron and Mary Hulnick, and Rod Stryker this morning. I was just so beautiful, the class that you led for us. Being able to host Goldie, who's such an inspiration to me, and my friend Lee Keckner and Stephen McGee, and all these amazing presenters, Barbara, talking about how they lead with love. Each one of you inspires me. Lisa Ruoff, Eden, our Italian vibes, all the beautiful musicians. So I chose to end the program and step into the space of wanting to share what my feelings were for this 4 days. I resisted making like a talk because I can't really manage to follow any script ever. But what came forward for me is just to share a story and an inspiration in my life. And so I had just a couple things that I wanted to put on the screen as some prompts for this last few moments that we're spending together as a whole group. And we are going to have a party later, so don't forget. And it's a sparkle party, and it's going to be amazing and awesome. But to me, it's more about closing this sort of sacred, intentional space that we've created with these altars. We have the 4 elements, water, air, earth, and fire, and the heart chakra in the center. And if we have time, we'll kind of ceremoniously close these altars. But I just want to mention, and Alexa did such a beautiful job. I really feel this energy, and I hope you guys do too. Yeah, it's been a really special time, and I don't think it's just for me. I mean, certainly it's very, very special for me as the hostess of this gathering. It was born out of a desire to give back on my birthday and say, I've been given so much, thanks to Jerry, but thanks to my parents, thanks to all my friends. I've received so much in my life, and I feel so full. And so for me, it's really about, how can I share that? All these amazing people that have influenced my life, I want to share that with my friends, and then some people I don't even know. And that's the best part, that there's that alchemy that's happening where I think you guys are kind of connecting, and you just kind of let it roll. And I've seen some beautiful exchanges, and I've heard from people who were sponsored. We have several people that we scholarshiped and said, come, we just want you to be in this space. It's a healing space. People that work with the Hope Center, and they're dealing with crisis all the time. And it's hard to hold that. It's a lot. And so part of the intention with the City of Wellbeing is that we come together like a village, like a real community, and we hold each other up. So it's not just a few people holding this weight of this mental illness that we have, not only here, but everywhere. We have a high suicide rate here in Aspen area in Pitkin County, but it's all over the world. I mean, our vets are coming back and killing themselves. They can't handle it because our hearts are made to love. And so when we come into these circumstances where we're meant to kill each other, it just doesn't resonate. And when things don't resonate, we sort of explode. We don't know what to do with the energy. And so some people take it to the extreme. A lot of us just kind of withdraw when it gets too much. There's so many ways to cope. But what I'm suggesting is that we show up in a more vulnerable state so we can share those hurts and those joys that are part of life. Because that's what it's really about, right? What else are we doing here? Anybody have an idea? I'd love to know because I haven't figured it out. Sharing and healing. So many things. Growing. Surrendering. Wow, Mom, that's a good one. Learning and evolving. Celebrating. Playing. Connecting. Shining our lights, Miss Sparkle Queen. And I love what Stephen said, something about just, life is for learning. That's what really we're here for. And so if you use that lens through your life, I know this has helped me so much that if I can look at a situation that's challenging and look at it as how can I learn, how can I grow, then nothing is good or bad. It just is. And it's an opportunity for us to show up and to use the skills that we have and to lead with love if we can. If you have it tattooed on your arm like I do now. No. That's really what's coming forward for me with hosting this event is that in every circumstance, because we called it Lead with Love, I thought, how can I lead with love in this situation? And there were some annoying things that happened, like really annoying people and annoying circumstances. I tried to get a stripper pole and it was like so going to be the best thing and it didn't show up and I had to let that go. I really wanted USM Day and to move into the Madonna thing and this strip thing and just like as weird as it could get. So I had to just accept that it couldn't get that weird, but it did get pretty weird yesterday, right? It did get kind of weird. There were some things that happened here. So, what came forward for me to share, and I want to keep my own self on time. Who's keeping track of me? Anybody? Okay, good. I can't keep track of myself. So this idea came to me, I don't know when. I've been really, really tired when I go to bed and when I wake up. But there was this thing about being afraid of the light. And I know for me, in my experience, I have had that as a awareness that I'm afraid in some ways of my own light. And I don't know why that is. It sounds weird. But it's, I think, something that more people are familiar with or can relate to than you might think. Do any of you have that feeling of being afraid of your own light, your own power, your own gifts? Yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. And so the quote that always, oops, wrong one. Oh no, we'll just go there, but I'll get to the quote. So this cute little person, how many of you think it's me? Oh, okay, interesting. It's not. It's not. Something came forward for me, and this is a big public thing, and this is really private, but this is my sister, and I don't know why I felt like I had to share this in this moment with this event, but let's all close our eyes, because I like to do that when I'm having an issue. Now close your eyes and put your hand on your heart. I think we've all experienced loss in our lives in some way or another. So just breathe into that space and just feel your heart. When you touch into the heartbreak, it's not a bad thing, as we said. It's not a good or bad, it just is. Difficult and challenging things happen to all of us. And different degrees of that. Some of us haven't experienced extreme loss, but we've all experienced some kind of loss. And so I just want you to feel that because there's an energy in that where your heart starts to open because it is breaking, truly breaking open. And so in that space of openness and connection into the juicy, tender parts inside, there's a vulnerability and there's a softness. And I think that's really an aspect of ourselves that we don't get to share very often. And I wanted to share it because I listen to what comes through. As you guys kind of tell, I don't know what's going to happen ever. And I just really want to respect that this picture came through for me to share. And I think it's important because this little being came into my family's life, my family's sphere, for a reason. And her name is Michelle. And she, is a beautiful being. And I grew up looking at this picture in my hallway, in my home, as I grew up. And I didn't know her because she died before I was born. She died about 3 years before I was born. She was 5 years old. And she had a brain tumor. And, my parents, who were young, my mom was only 27 years old when she lost her daughter. So I can't imagine that, being 40, with all the skills that I have. How do you do that? They had no counseling, no therapy. These two people that are in the audience right now, I'm so inspired by them. And the reason being is they truly lead with love. Anyone who's experienced these deep heartaches, these deep losses, there's a way you can turn toward it or away. And somehow, these two people, my mom was such a young little person at 19 when she met my dad, and they fell in love and had my older brother, and then Michelle in 67. And, they had their life, and they used to tell this story like a script. It was a script that I heard growing up that said, we were done having kids. We had our boy, we had our girl. We were card-carrying members of Zero Population Growth, which is an organization. I mean, I can tell the story because I've heard it since I was born, basically, that they were done having kids. So I grew up, and then once I started to recognize what that felt, I felt actually guilty. And they don't know this because they just wanted to make me feel special, I think, for being born and helping them to heal. They always called my sister and I, my older sister, their healing children, because they had the 2 children after Michelle died. And we helped them to heal, right? Any of you who have children, there's so much action there that you just have to deal with what's in front of you. You can't dwell necessarily on the past as much. You just have to do it. So growing up as a healing child and being in this story and being born into the energy of loss, I really played that role. I really played that role of a healing child. I wanted to make things happy and joyful, and I think I did a good job. Thank you. And I still do. I like to bring joy. I like to spread joy. I like to extend my heart. It comes naturally to me because I grew up in a family where my parents called me and they needed me. And yet, in my little child brain, I thought, well, this person I look at every day who I loved, I don't know how I had this love for her. I just did. She was there. She's my sister. Same blood, same DNA. She had to die for me to be born based on this story I heard, right? And so inside of myself, and I have her name as my middle name, Gina Michelle, so I'm holding that, this being. And so I felt a little bit guilty. I said, oh, that's not fair. And so I've held on to unfairness as a thing. And I share this with you only because for me it's been a journey. I didn't know that was part of my story. It was thanks to USM and a lot of the trios that we did yesterday, I started to unpack how much sort of guilt and shame I had for even being born, that somehow my little being needing to be born, this is my little person brain, don't worry, don't get guilty. That would be even worse. We're gonna have to send you to counseling after. It's like my little person brain had that association that she had to die so I could be born, and that's not fair. But the thing is, when you look at things from a spiritual context, it's all good, it's all okay, it's all for learning. She came in and she did her work. That was what she was there for 5 years. That was her dharma, her karma, her sacred contract to come in and to show you guys how to love, to show us how to love as a family. I know that, we live for the day, we always have. And that's what you get when you see loss that close up. When you look at somebody that you love and you let them go. You know that every day is a precious gift. And that's what I had the opportunity to grow up in, that energy. So I wanted to take the opportunity just to thank my mom and dad for making me great. And, I also want to honor this being that came into our lives and taught us so much. And she's not here for over 40 years. She's been gone for 43 years or so. And being 40 myself, I know that it's time for me to get over that story that I need to be afraid of any kind of light or that there's anything wrong with me being here because, of course, I'm meant to be here. And, that person has been a part of our life since I was born, and it's a special, special gift. And so I just want to give you guys an opportunity right now, too, to think about somebody special in your life that may not be there anymore, whether your ex, husband or whatever, We've all had loss. Maybe just take a moment and close your eyes and say thank you to those people who have shared such gifts with you, and they're not here anymore in some way or another. And our energy is here. I feel this person, Michelle, all the time. And I asked my sister, who's older than me, she doesn't have the same feelings I do. There's something about me, karmically, I'm attached to this. Of course, I have her name. So I grew up thinking about Gina Michelle. I'm like, this is me. I think that person is in me. And I'm happy to represent that energy. And I feel joyful about it, and I'm excited. So the quote that I always like to read, which really always struck me, and I think most of you probably know it, but it always spoke to me, this quote, and I heard it for the first time when I was in my Bikram yoga teacher training. That was my gateway drug to yoga in 2007. Bikram's wife, Rajashri, read this quote, and she attributed it to Nelson Mandela, which I think happens a lot. And Nelson Mandela is amazing, but he did not say this. Marianne Williams said this, and she's another amazing, fabulous leader who I admire. That's right, give it up. We'll bring her next year. So I wanted us to just read it together because this is a powerful quote, and it's really like one of my manifestos. It's sort of like, you know what? Let's do this. So let's read it together. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. That's right. There's more. Oh, that's already so powerful. But let's keep going. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Isn't that awesome? That is awesome. That is awesome. Once we are liberated from our own fears, we can liberate others.